Powerful and provocative, prophetic and practical,
Have you ever found yourself?
Are you dating for that person?
informative and
I feel
inspirational.
every bit of it. Like, I'm not trying to waste my time.
How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? I do. Come on, let's talk about it with me, the mind massager. Hey, what's up? When y'all come in, say hello and let me know where you're listening from. Share this, please, and we'll get this conversation started tonight. Please share it. Let me know where you're listening from. And we'll get started in a few minutes. You know, I go through my ritual of sharing every week with all the people I deal with. I hope that like turns into a love by the end of the show. It's open mic night, so we're going to talk about what y'all want to talk about. So let's get it started. What's up, Shauna Penn? How are you? Yeah, come on into the room. Let's go. We need a good open mic night so we can y'all can get the conversation started and fuel. Let me put this link in the chat. I gotta put the link in the chat so y'all can chime in because I want y'all to talk too. Y'all come in, say hello. Come on, say hello. Let us know you're here. Put this in the chat now. And let me pin it. First, let me go in. That's me, okay. Pin in the comment. All right, cool. All right, it's open mic night. So I got a couple of things I would want to discuss. I mean, I will discuss, but I want you all's perspective on them. Yeah, that's what we are. Open mic night. You see the phone number there. The link is in the chat. All right, I'm ready. Let me turn this video on. Oh, I haven't. Hold on, I got a couple more people I got to invite. Copy the link. Boom. I'll be sharing it with everybody because I want them to listen. I want them to listen. For real, I'm going to start with one more person. The rest of them got to get it on their own. All right, music's going off. I have to multitask from here on out. Let me get back in my spot. Where am I at? There we go. Let me get this cut off. Hold on. All right. That was too long. I'm sorry. My bad. I have to share this with a few people every week, and hopefully they come on. You know, and I appreciate you all when you come in because you share it, and that helps me get the word out, and then we can get this conversation started. It's my desire that with this open mic night that we'll all start to, view this as a safe space to discuss some real, raw, relevant issues, and not coming here to point the finger writers, because the truth be told, we have all gone through something. And the fact of the matter is, some of us are going through something right now, if we are 100% honest. So this is a safe space, and part of my mission and what I try to do is help people get unstuck, because we do go through in the preacher world, we call it the vicissitudes of life, right? But once we find our voice, then we don't have to be victims, but we can be victorious in life, right? So That's part of our mission. So as you come in tonight, do me a favor, as I said earlier, please, ma'am, please, sir. First of all, say hello. Say hello. And then second of all, after you say hello, please, ma'am, please, sir, share this thread. And we're going, what's up, DP? How are you doing, sir? Dennis Pittiman, that's one of my little brothers we've met here online in this space. And he shows up typically every Monday night. And he cheers the old man on, and I appreciate that. And hopefully we'll get him on and get some of his perspectives. Hey, Kathy, how are you? Get some of his perspective tonight. If you're here, go ahead and share this. When you share it, don't just share it. Tell them why you listen to it. All right. Shauna says she want to talk already. We don't even know what we're talking about yet, but we're gonna get her into here just a second and let her see what she's gonna talk about. After I'm gonna set the stage first, though. But we're gonna get this thing going in just a moment. No, in fact, I'm gonna bring her on in up front. I'm gonna see how this goes. Listen, but y'all come on in, share. We're gonna bring Shauna up, let her see what she's on her mind, and go from there. All right, Shauna.
No, I'm gonna wait. No, you gonna
no, because you don't even know. You want? Are you sure?
Yes, I'm
We want to make sure we're on the same page. I want to make sure. What's up, Jennifer? Listen, this is open mic night. So, like, she clicked in and wants to talk. I want her to. Now I'm gonna start this conversation. If you don't, because I know part of what Shauna wants to talk about. So I'm gonna set it up, and then once I set it up, I'm gonna open up the floor and I'm gonna let her come in. So I'm gonna let's stay in the backstage right quick, Shauna, and I'm gonna bring you back up in just a minute. Okay? Let me set the stage. All right, here we go. All right, so now we're gonna start the show over. All right. Good evening, good people. Welcome back to the Intellectual Stew. So this pause. This is for recording purpose. Here we go. Good evening, good people. Welcome back to the Intellectual Stew, where we mix in a little bit of everything. We talk about truth, we talk about transparency, transformation, and since it's 9:30 on Monday night, you already know what time it is. It's open mic night. So now, if you're new to the stew, that's cool. Let me explain. This is your space. This is our space. A space where real folk talk about real life in real time. No fluff, no filters, just whatever's on your mind and on your heart. And tonight, we're stirring the pot with a couple of different powerful conversations, and one about love and the other one about growth. We're going to start with love tonight. And if we get to growth, that'll be cool. But if we don't, we just going to stay where we are. Don't worry. We're going to pass the mic along the way. We're going to get Shauna in. Anybody else that wants to get in, Dennis, we're going to let you get in. We're going to talk. So let's not waste time. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Last week, I was in a conversation with a young lady. We were talking. And she said something, Dennis, that I thought was so powerful. And she wasn't talking about me, because we weren't talking about each other. We're not on that wavelength. But I have these kind of conversations with people, right? And she said something, and she's a Cancer like me, so we think on it, kind of deep sometimes. But she said something that I thought, man, it had a lot of depth to it. This is what she said. Come on back, Shauna, because here we go. This is what she said. She said she'll love him until she unloves him. She says she will love him. Let's unpack this statement. She'll love him until she unlove him. So to me, that's heavy. It's kind of loaded, and it's layered. When you all hear that statement, now, Shauna, come on back. Now I'm ready for you. Dennis, come on in the room. Anybody else that's out here listening, the link is in the chat. I want to hear what you have to say about that particular statement. This young lady, she's talking about when she's in relationships and when she's tried, put her all in. She's put forth the effort to build a relationship with this individual, and she's gone as far as falling in love with him. And when you fall in love with somebody, falling in love, when you do it right, it requires a sacrifice, right? It requires you giving 100% of you. I don't know where these people get this 50 stuff at, but it requires 100% of you and 100% of them to really, really, really make a relationship work like it should. And when you've done that, but then all of a sudden that person betrays you or whatever that person does, then all of a sudden now you go through a process where you eventually start to unlove that person. And here's what I want to explore tonight. And Shauna, you can help me with this. Can love really fade? Or is that what people say to justify giving up? Is it emotional fatigue or is it emotional maturity? And here is the first question I'm going to toss in the stew. We're going to put this little concoction together, and by the time we get through, we're going to put some carrots and some stew and some beef broth and some, all the necessary ingredients to make this stew what it is. But here's my question: can love really fade, or is that what people say to justify giving up, or could it be emotional fatigue? Or emotional maturity. Here's a question for the audience, and y'all can start this conversation in the chat. What does unloving someone even mean to you? What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? All right, Sean, I'm going to bring you in, and based on what we've said so far, Shauna, where are you? When you hear that statement, she said she'll love him until she unloves him. What does that mean to you?
Well, when you say emotional, it can be emotional and it can be a mental effect. So It can be a woman. A woman can still have love for a man. However, if they constantly tell you what we need or what we want, or we being overlooked at, love starts to fade.
So love does. So with that question, can love really fade? Love does really fade. People in the audience, y'all there? Y'all hear Shauna? Yeah. Is she right? Dennis, does love fade? Say what? Who else? Yeah. Who else? Is that Kathy? Jennifer? Who else? Does love fade? Unloving someone. Hold on, let me see what Dennis said. Dennis said, unloving someone is the realization that you were never in. He says you were really never in love at all. Now that's Dennis's perspective. Listen, we respect everybody's perspective. All we do is tell our own. He says, if you unlove someone, it is basically the realization that you were never in love at all. What you think about that, Shauna?
You could fall out of love with somebody. Loving someone is not the same as being in love with that person. He said in love. He didn't say loving. He said in love.
But when I'm thinking about a relationship, I'm hoping y'all in love. I'm not talking about that.
But you can fall out of love with someone. You fall out of love with fate.
Can I challenge your theory a little bit?
Yeah, challenge.
Could it have been that you were never really in love, but you were in love with the idea of being in love? Because see, sometimes we have such an idea of being in love because so many people want the picket fence, and somebody, but they want the house, and women want the dress and all those kind of things. And he looked like he's the one, right? So I'm gonna make this fit. So I'm in love, and I'm gonna do all I can. But then all of a sudden, you wake up one day and the makeup is off, and and I'm using metaphors, and and the weave don't fit, and all that kind of thing. And he really wasn't who you thought he was. Were you ever really in love? If it was really in love. Corey, you see the microphone there. You can come in, sweetie. It's the floor is open. It's open mic night. I have no.
That could be the idea of being in love. However, it depends on how long you guys have been together as well. Because
how long you together. I believe you alone. I'm gonna go viral. Look, Corey, I'm gonna go viral on Shauna tonight.
I'm with it.
I'm joking. Because you know what? We'll put ourselves through things to make it fit, right? For several reasons. Number one, we don't want the embarrassment of breaking up. Because I put myself out there. You know what I'm saying? I put myself in this relationship. I took a couple of pictures on Facebook, and did it for the gram. And we showed the public. So we'll put up with more because we don't want to go through with the public embarrassment. But were we ever really in love? Because we know what love does. We know what love really is. When love is right, love is perfect. Love is kind. Love is pure.
Nothing is perfect.
No, that's Bible. That's 1 Corinthians. That's 1 Corinthians 13. Now, I know you know that. I'm saying love is perfect. Love is pure. Love is. I can't take that away.
Love is kind. but it ain't
Yeah.
perfect. Ain't nothing perfect. However, you still
1
talking about
Corinthians 13.
can love fade? I feel like yes, love can fade. It depends
Come here,
on
Dennis. Come
what
here,
you have.
Dennis.
It depends on what you have endured, what you have gone through. It's everything, because a woman can be ignored, a man can be ignored, and then yes, it fade away. Love can fade away real quick.
I ain't fight you. Let me see what my friend said.
And you
Jennifer
can
said,
still stay there. You can still stay there, but your mind is not there.
I feel you.
Your
Here it is.
body could be there, but your mind is not there. If your
Your
mind ain't there,
body is
that
here
ain't
with
in
me.
love.
Your mind is here with me, but it's on the other side of time. How I go. Oh, Jennifer Coleman said the idea of being in love means a lot, messes with a lot of us because we have an illusion of what it feels like. She's saying what we saying. And that's that. You know what? And I really didn't plan to go this way because, and this is the thought, y'all. That's not on here. This is the thought. Let me go back to it again because this thought messed me up because I agree with her. I agree and I understand the process, but Dennis threw that monkey wrench in there, so it kind of messed me up. It says she said she'll love him until she unloves him. If somebody else want to come on and talk about this, Shauna said. What you say, Shauna? Tell him again. You say yes, love can fade. That's what Shauna
Yes,
said.
love can fade. So listen to what she's saying. She said she loved him until she can't love him anymore. So that meaning, yes, I could love you through the good, the bad, the ugly, through everything. But when things come into a play where you not listening, you being ignored, and this and that, you being the same old, you not changing, because we can't change a person. The person should want to change himself. So that meaning, yes, I can love you until I can't love you no more.
So basically what you're saying is love has limits.
No. Love doesn't have limits. Love can fade, but it don't have limits. You can't put limit on love.
Yeah, Shauna confusing me, y'all. I'm confused. I'm being facetious. I'm being super facetious.
No,
you just did. First you said I love you. You just basically said I love you through everything, and then you said, but then I gotta stop loving you.
But that's not limits. That's not limits. That's when you tired. You tired. Everybody get tired.
So you reach your limitation.
Is it reaching your limit?
Somebody come help her.
Is it reaching your limits, or it's just happen?
You say potato, I say potato. It's still spelled the same way. You know what I'm saying? So I think you were saying it the same way because listen, this is the question. This to the audience. I want y'all to come on now. The link is in the chat and the phone number. Let me move this so y'all can see the phone number because y'all are invited to this is open mic night. Anybody can get it tonight. Anybody can get on. Now we're not pointing no fingers. We getting clarity. He says you twisting yourself up a little bit in the conversation, and it does sound a little different. But I get where we're coming from, and I feel you, Shauna. I do because you're not and listen. Let me say this as well. There are no right or wrong answers. There are only relevant answers, right? You know, everybody wears their own sizes. Everybody sleep in their own bed. Everybody, all those things. So I get that. But this is the question: is it possible, Shauna, to care but not love? Because they kind of look alike sometimes.
Yeah, you can care and switch it. You can care and switch it to be in love, but no, it's not love. It's just caring.
It's not love. It's just caring. Mm-hmm. Do people move in together once they start caring, or they move in once they fall in love? I'm being crazy. Let me see what Jennifer said. You think she literally says she don't love him enough to stay. She says she literally says she don't love him enough to stay in a relationship. She's staying until the opportunity comes for her to leave. That's what the girl's saying, basically.
That's a good one right there. She said that.
Look, I'm dancing on that one. I got to dance a little bit on that one. Right there. But I also see a person, as you said, Shauna, that is tired because some people love hard, right? You know, when they go in, they don't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They don't have numbers and letters. I mean levels. You know, if they go in, they go all in. right? And they put all those eggs into that one relationship, that one basket. And so if you put all your eggs in one basket and somehow you stumble, the eggs have the potential of cracking, right? And if they potentially crack, then it messes up everything, right? And now all of a sudden you're in disarray because everything is scrambled and everything is divided because you put all your eggs into that situation. So I can see that person loving, and because they've made such an investment, right? They put so much into that potential relationship that, because, as I said a few minutes ago, they don't want to deal with the embarrassment of a breakup. Breakups having a way of being emotionally heavy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes they might call, especially if you love hard. I've been through a couple of them. You lose sleep on those. You know what I'm saying?
So you rather stay in the relationship and struggle besides being embarrassed? Is that what you're saying?
I like questions like these because I get a chance to answer them. See, this is for me in a relationship. When I'm in Jennifer, I think you can feel me on this one. When you're in a real relationship, like a marriage type of relationship, not just boyfriend, girlfriend, we're playing house type stuff. But if you're in a real relationship, sometimes in a relationship, you're going to have fractures. You're going to go through some things where you're unhappy. You're going to go through seasons. But I believe that in those moments, you have two choices. There's a choice of rehabilitation and there's the choice of amputation. A lot of people would rather go through amputation because they don't want to go through the struggles and the rigors of rehabilitation because it's easier to cut it off. But when you cut it off, in my opinion, something always ends up lacking or limping. And so, but if you rehabilitate, athletes are really, if a baseball player tears his rotator cuff, it might take a year for him to come back. But if he comes back, he has the potential of being stronger because what was ruptured is now fixed. So if you take the time in a relationship to find the rupture, if it's real, if it's love, now, not the love with limits that you was talking about. I'm joking. But if it's real love, in my opinion, if you rehabilitate, now there do come breaking points. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has deal breakers. Some people, adultery is a deal breaker. You know what I'm saying? Drug use is a deal breaker. Abuse is a deal breaker. You know what I'm saying? But now you got people breaking up because they parked on the wrong side of the garage. That was a joke. You're supposed to laugh a little bit, Shauna. I'm sorry. But
okay, so let's go here though. Let's go here.
Yeah, somebody else come get in this conversation. Y'all welcome to interrupt. Come on.
Our ancestors or our grandpa and grandma, they stayed in relationships. They stayed in it. They didn't break up. They stayed in it. They didn't love each other. They stopped loving each other. But then again, they stayed in it. So why was that? They stayed in it.
I don't think
it wasn't divorce. It wasn't none of that. But they stayed in it.
But you say it wasn't love, but it might not have been the form of love that you might have thought it was.
Right.
But it might not have been that eros intimacy type of love. My mom and daddy argue every day. You know what I'm saying? Literally, not like knockdown dragouts, but they literally argue every day. But that don't mean they don't love each other. You know what I'm saying? And so I think we have this fairy tale form of love, because we watch the soap operas and we watch, Real Housewives, whatever. And I think we have this idea of what love looks like. First of all, Shauna, love is very relative. Each relationship is individual and unique. It has its own fingerprint. And when I go trying to compare my love to somebody else's love, Jennifer been married. Jennifer, how long you and Carlton been married? They got their own type relationship and it works for them, right? But we find our lane and we find what fits and we find what works. And then that love works. We struggle. When we get through, I was talking to my friend the other day. We talking about how our processes I'm getting to know, we've had a few ruffles and ripples, you know what I'm saying? And ripples prepare you for storms, because if we can endure the ripple, we felt buoyancy, we felt something move us. And even in that movement, we stayed together. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people, and I think it's partly, I want somebody else to get this conversation but I think partly sometimes because I lost my train of thought. We feel these ripples and we learn how to move together. Instead of moving together, a lot of us move apart. We move individually, right? Because we bring all this individuality into the relationship, and we never mesh, we never merge. But when we merge, we move together. And when you hurt, I hurt. If I hurt you, I'm hurting me. And that's the maturity of dying to myself and literally dying into you. I don't know. That might make sense to somebody else. I don't know. I'm just talking out loud. Let me see what Jen what she said. I have to say this. She said a lot of women stay in relationships when they know it's been over, and then later complain about the emotional turmoil. Women have to learn how to take accountability about in this salvageable, or has it come to its end? That's good. Let me see what else she said. She said I have to say that. Oh, the same thing. Did I miss the other one? Okay, hold on. I missed one. Okay. Or did you say the same thing twice? Okay. But you know, and nobody's telling anybody to stay in a bad relationship. You know what I'm saying? That's not the thing. And and we're on this tough subject, y'all. Those who are coming in, this is open mic night. Anybody else can get in the conversation. The phone number is there. If you look, like Shauna came in, the chat there, you can click on the chat. She clicked right in, no problem. And she came in with her hair whipped to the side and all that kind of stuff, looking presentable. And I appreciate that about her. Thank you very much for coming in here. And I, you know what? And I appreciate your transparency. I'm not trying to correct you. I'm not trying to change your thought. This is not a teaching session. This is an enlightening session. And we perhaps these situations, right? Because there are always two sides to every coin, but it's not just two things on that coin, right? You got letters, you got numbers, you got heads, you got buildings, you know, and it's just how your perspective of how you look at those things. Hold on, let's see what Dennis said. Dennis said, love and ugly are the two most incorrectly used words in the English language. Most people have never loved anything or anyone, in my opinion. Ooh. Now that's his opinion. I ain't hate. Some of y'all are listening, but you haven't liked or loved this post. Can y'all do that for me?
But I like what he said, because sometimes it can go into generational curses too. It can be what you
now
have,
you're talking.
What you have seen.
There you go.
From your mother and father, or from your grandma and grandpa. It can be generational curses. So I like what he said.
He is very, and what you just said just added a whole different layer to where we are, because we're products of orientation. We're products of our environment, right? And sometimes dysfunction is normal for some, because I've functioned in dysfunction for so long that's my new normal, and I operate in that until I'm in something different, right? It was so funny. Well, it wasn't funny because it wasn't funny, but it was interesting. My son, when he was younger, for the first 4 years of his life, he went to Mame. We called her Mame. That was his later at the daycare, Mame. And Mame kept them and fed them real food. I mean, beans and cornbread, and I mean, baked chicken and carrots and, you know, all that stuff. So he was super, super healthy, right, in that environment. But then we took him to public pre-K. Public pre-K. It was free, so I was going to take him to public pre-K. So we went to public pre-K, and his first day, he got sick. Why? Because he was in a different environment. Oh, what's up, Jenny? Okay, we're gonna get Jenny in here. He was in a different environment, and that environment was dysfunctional. It was germy. It was all those things. So when I put him in that environment, all of a sudden, even though he had been sick, his immune system had never been tested. But when I put him in an environment that would challenge that immune system, look what happened to him. He got sick. But then when he got used to being in that environment and still eating the right things, he ain't never hardly get sick again all the way through life. Hold on, Jenny want to jump in. Let's get Jenny in on this conversation. Hold on. It's open mic night. Open mic night. Sean, I'm going to leave you here for now because she might want to talk to you. Hold on. I'm gonna put, if I take you out, I might take you down, but you don't have to get out because I might bring you back in, or if you raise your hand, you want to say something, okay? But let me get Jenny in. What it do, Jenny?
Hey. Listen.
How long y'all been married?
14 years. 14 years.
You got equity. Anything over 10, I listen to. Go ahead.
Yeah, 14 years. And people have to understand that you don't stay in love. This is my second marriage. So you don't stay in love. It's not always I'm in love and all of that, because listen, you in a real marriage, we trying to create financial security. We ain't trying to be, I ain't got time to be up under you. If my husband is on the phone with me all day, every day, saying sweet things to me, ain't nobody making no money. So I'm
Can I
trying
ask you?
to.
Can I ask you a quick? I'm gonna let you finish your thought, but can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How often do y'all talk about 50-50 in y'all's relationship?
We don't.
Okay, go ahead. Finish what you were saying, because I know that's big. That's always a big topic among single people.
Yeah,
But married people
but
never
I'm
talk
glad
about
you
it.
said that.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But since you asked that, it's never ever been a 50-50. I've always posed the question, where do I need to meet you? Because as a wife, I am the help meet. That means I help meet whatever need that needs to be. My job is to be a wise woman, a woman with wisdom. So if he do call me and say, honey, I need this, I can go in my secret drawer and find it.
Got you. Talk.
To me, wisdom is the 50-50. So when he say I need help with this, or that needs some help with this, I should be able to help meet the need. So 50-50 have been the thing. I know my role as a wife. So, 50-50 never actually been an issue, If he
So let me
say
ask you this question. So let me ask you the question that I asked her. Can love fade?
love
Can
can
love fade?
fade.
It
Yeah,
can fade.
love can fade because of lack of attention. Um, uh, yeah, love can fade.
It
And it
can
has
fade.
everything to do, if I'm your person, I need to know that I'm your person. I need to know that you pay attention. That does not mean up under me. That does not mean me up under. I should know without a shadow of a doubt that you care about me, that I am your best. I'm at your best interest at heart. I don't have to be
Dennis?
up under you 7 for you to tell me, because one thing in this second marriage,
Uh-huh.
I only asked my husband, the only thing I told him was never tell me no. If you never tell me no, because strong women, alpha women, I'm an alpha woman. If you tell me no on something that I enjoy doing, I'm going to buck against the system. We merge into this marriage. I'm his third wife, and this is my second marriage. When we merge into this marriage, we said this was going to be a successful triangle with me, you, and God. I came in. I don't need to change you. I'm not going to tell you. I want you to go out with your boys and have a good time. Yeah. I don't want you to lose your identity through me. And I'm sure not going to lose my identity through you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be associated as Carlton's wife, or that's Jenny's, that's Carlton's wife, or that's Jenny's husband. No.
Okay.
So yeah.
And that works for y'all. And I like
works.
that. I like that. I like the fact that works for you. And that to me is a good example of building a love, and one that works. Now, see, somebody else, because when you said what you said, I can hear somebody's testosterone rising, saying, "What she mean? She ain't gonna tell me no. If I tell her no," that works for them.
That works. But when I say that, I don't say that in cockiness.
Okay.
When I say don't tell me no, the things that I was doing when you found me.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
I got you. Yeah.
I got you. I got you. I got you. Now, and see, there's the clarification for that, because somebody will take a snippet and stop listening. You feel you feel me? And see, the thing is that you have to listen to it in totality. That's why I like to create. That's why I like what I do. Okay. That's why I like to create this type of space, So we're not giving right or wrong answers. We're giving
Right.
relevant answers.
Right.
Jenny's giving what's relevant for her. Shauna's telling what she's seen. I'm telling my mistakes because I was married 20 years. I made it a dub.
Wow.
And so to make it 20, that worked. I mean, something, worked, and we produced some beautiful children, functioning children out of dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? We might not have realized, what the negativity or whatever we might have done till later. But in that moment, we did what we needed to do. And part of that, most of that was rooted because we had the same triangle. We knew the same God. And in those 20 years, guess what, Shauna? We never argued. Well, if we argue 2 times in 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't tell nobody what, and I don't tell a grown woman what to do. You grown.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you tell me where you want to go, I'll set the GPS. You know what I'm saying? Because I love ambition, and then a real man loves to give it to you. Or to say he was able to do it for you. You know what I'm saying? A real one, because Avery, if I'm saying something wrong, let me know if I'm saying. Avery said he got 34 years in the game. So
I have
Avery
a question. So if you was married 20 something years, you ain't got to tell your business. But if you was married 20 something years,
I told my business. I got a whole book about it.
And y'all me too. Y'all didn't have an argument, just probably 2 arguments. So what went wrong in the relationship?
Guess
because
what?
Some people can have arguments.
I already got the answer. You ain't got to give me no more context. I'm good. I got the answer for you already.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe we should have argued. Because sometimes you sweep things under the rug. Yeah. Sometimes you don't put the emotions out there. You suppress the emotions. And if you don't suppress the emotions, those are the currents I'm talking about. The currents that prepare you for the wave. Oh, God, that's good.
So you
hold on. I got to pause right there. When I say something good, let me pause right quick. Hold on. When the currents prepare you for the waves. Yeah. The small. Oh, God, that's good. Hold on. No, I'm not going to preach now. The currents prepare you for the waves, because if you can handle the currents, then when the waves come, you're used to the movement. Yeah. But the thing is, you're moving together. You feel? I wrote in my book. This is one thing I wrote in my book, and like I said, I ain't scared to talk about it because I wrote a whole book about it. Called "Stuck on the Couch." You can get it on Amazon.com whenever. But anyway, I wrote a whole book about this thing, and I said if I were talking to young men and telling them how to survive or to function in their relationship, I said one of the first things I would tell them to do is to make sure they cast vision. Yes. Because if they cast vision, then she always knows where you're going. The last thing a woman wants to do is follow somebody who don't know where he's going. Right. And and you can sit here and say, well, I know where I'm going, and just follow me. But at a certain point, she starts to question because she don't look like we've reached no destination. So if I cast vision and I give you, breadcrumbs along the way and say, hey, this is where we are right now. Give me 3 more years and then we're going to be here. And then if I do this, then we're going to be here. That's casting vision, right? But guess what that also is? Those are currents. Yes. Those are ripples. And those are preparing you for the waves. That's why strong relationships really make it, is because they talk. They talk. Absolutely. I wrote down while you were talking, sometimes people fall out of love because they stop growing together. Yeah. Yeah. Growing together consists of having those hard conversations. Yeah. Why are you falling out of love? Because a lot of times women, we hold back. We don't say what we need to say. The male, they don't say what they're really feeling. When you lay everything out and transfer, I think we let some of those conversations go too far along. And then when you mad or when something happens, then everything comes out. Everything come out. Everything. You dump it out. That sound familiar, Shauna? That sound familiar? Okay. Yeah. Come on, Dennis. You come on, Dennis. He said he ready to jump in. Come on in. And that's one thing. One thing I like about the person I've been talking to here lately, right? Wherever there's a minute issue or something, if she's concerned or whatever, she automatically say, "Okay, now what are you thinking?" You know what I'm saying? Okay, well, now where? Because I'm borderline off. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I go into a space in my head and don't realize that I went into that space, and then I messed the whole mood of everybody else around me. I'm over here in my own head, Charlotte, in my own head, on my phone, clicking whatever I'm doing, doing my website, whatever, and I ain't really thinking about y'all. but I'd messed the whole room up. You know what I'm saying? And so I have now somebody brought that to my attention. Now, what I hate about it is why it take them 52 years to bring it to my attention. Because I could have fixed this at 27, 28. You know what I'm saying? Somebody would have just been, you know, came in and said, hey, you realize you do this, don't you? Because we develop these patterns.
Mm-hmm.
We develop these, here it is, we develop these rhythms. And when we get these rhythms, we rock to those rhythms and keep moving. Let me bring Dennis in here and see what he's talking about. Because this is open mic night, y'all. Y'all, if you want to get in, you better get in when you fit in. Share this if you've not shared it, please. Like it if you hadn't liked it. Here you go. Come on, DP. What's up, baby?
Man, how y'all feeling?
Man, I feel pretty good.
I appreciate you, of course, big bro. And I appreciate your guests too. You got some interesting ladies on here with some great perspectives.
I can't believe you on the show and not watching the game. I really feel honored right now, bro.
Man,
I do.
I was like, man, this is good because I had the game off. Conversation got so I just switched to a whole nother room. I said, oh, hold on. Let me pay attention because they preaching tonight.
Yeah.
I like what you did about perspectives too, because there's very few things that are right and wrong. It's just perspective. Yeah, we can see the same thing happen, and I view it one way and you view it another, and we're both correct. It's just the way we perceive whatever happened.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of the 48 Laws of Power by chance?
I have, but I haven't read it, but I've heard it.
The author of the book, his name is Robert Greene. I wouldn't say we're friends, but we're associates. Okay. And I helped him with another book that he wrote called The Laws of Human Nature. And I was speaking about value. I don't believe in love in the same sense that most people do. It's about having value. If I give you all of the things, if I have a huge value in your life, you'll feel like, or you'll at least display love, loyalty, affection. You're going to give me all of these things. But once my value declines, if I'm not giving you what you need, my value will decline and you'll feel like you fell out of love. You didn't fall out of love. I don't have value to you anymore because I'm not what you need to feel like you can give me love because my value's down. And you'll go find someone else who has value. That's why you'll be like, man, I fell out of love and now I love someone else. No, you didn't fall out of love. You were never in love, but that person had value at the time.
I see. Anybody want to respond to that?
He killed it.
Oh no, bro, hey, I feel you 100%, but I'm gonna let them talk first. Now, I'm muting you all until you talk, okay? So if you finish talking, unmute yourself and mute yourself, and then come back in when it's time to talk, so we can make sure we get good sound. All right, Jenny, you want to respond to that first?
I think that I like that perspective too, as well. Being valuable and being valued in a relationship is very important. It is easily to confuse the two. You know, when you are not valued, so the lines become blurred. So I totally agree with that. But my issue is with women because that's what I do. I motivate women to get out of relationships because of my past. So I have an issue and I am hard on the women that I lead. Why would you stay in a situation or a relationship that you know that is not going anywhere? And so that's why I say that women have to take accountability on the choices, because at the end of the day, you'll stay in a 8 or 10-year relationship, knew it was dead at 5, and you stay there, and then the man has to pay for what the other man did to you, and that wasn't even his issue. And so I'm strong on women taking accountability for staying in relationships that they know are causing. And then we're quick to say they were a narcissist, because it's a lot of narcissistic women and men too. But we plague all this stuff, but you stayed.
But Jennifer, it's also the generational curses too. You have to understand why women stay. Women stay because of what they have seen in their past. That's why I told him at first, generational curses. If you
Yeah.
seen your mom get beat up or abused or physical abuse or mental or all type of abuse, and you get the same thing because it's what you seen
Yeah.
in your past. That's why they stay. That's why some stay.
I
Generational
didn't.
curse.
I agree with you. I didn't see it, and I
Yeah.
stayed in a 8-year marriage, and I fought 6. So I can agree with that. But once I got out,
But
if
was
I
it
would
that
have
you was
had some,
blinded?
if I would have been, see, we got all kind of resources now. I'm just kind of just straight across the board. We have too many resources, mentorships. That's why I always say, find your community, find your tribe, because somebody in your tribe gonna help pull you out of that situation. Had I been surrounded by other strong women who said, okay, these are the steps. This is going to be your exit strategy. We have to take accountability. And it may be hardcore, but we have to. Why would you stay in a relationship that you know ain't growing?
Yeah. I get
You
that.
know love don't live there. Are you staying there just to say I'm in a relationship? A lot of us stay in relationships just to say we in a relationship, but we still unhappy. And then our daughters and sons have to see that. So you talking about generational curses? We're planning another generational curse because our kids are able to see it. So who is
Yeah.
going to take the standard and say, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna stay here. Yes, it's a generational curse, but I got to cut it off because I got kids watching. I got a daughter watching me.
Let me jump in here real quick, Jenny, and say a couple of different things. First of all, I feel you, Shauna. You know, and I think a lot of people use that, and it's relevant. But I think once there's recognition comes along with revelation, and then when revelation comes, then that means it's time for me to make a transition at that point. Now, here is my issue, even with what Lil Bruh said, because I feel with Lil Bruh, because Lil Bruh, when you start talking about value, people look at value from different lenses, right? You know, some people say value mean I have valuables. I mean, I got diamonds, I got gold, I got all those things. But you don't have to have diamonds and gold to feel valued. And once you felt valued, it doesn't matter how valuable you are. Because this is the problem that we make, Jenny. And if you can amen me, or you can say out whatever you want to say, but let me know if I'm right or wrong. The problem, Dennis, with a lot of people is that we put more emphasis on the structure than we do the foundation. I just said something real good. I don't think nobody caught that, but I'm gonna say it one more time. So many times we put more emphasis on the structure than we do the foundation. That made sense. That didn't make sense to me. The one day I lived in Lake Crossing Apartments across here in Austell, Georgia. Man, I used to drive back and forth to work, right? And I saw these bulldozers, and I saw these dump trucks, and I saw all these people in this open space, and they, you know, just looked like dirt, right? But then I came back one day and looked like they had 6 frames up for these houses. Now, it took them all of one day to put up 6 frames, but took them at least 30 days to clear out this dirt to make this foundation right. The reason why a lot of structures fall is because they have not taken time to really firm the foundation.
Right.
And I think when the foundation has been firmed, that's when it's real love. And that's when love is able. They ain't worried about Lazeric. I'm here you talking because you know you're my boy, but that's when you really ain't worried about 50-50. You know, you really, you know, you just want to make this thing work because I'm a value her. Miss how pronounce your name? Miss Martin. You're welcome to come join us, and we're gonna get on your subject in a minute. But I think that's part of the problem is that we put too much emphasis on the structure. What does the structure look like? The structure looks like how we look in front of everybody else.
Come on.
What kind of car do we drive? You know, do we dress alike? You know, because y'all want to wear matching pajamas. I'm not wearing them. Well, I'm but whatever, the matching pajamas. Y'all want to do all that stuff, right? I mean, I've seen dudes look so miserable in the matching pajamas, but you know, but you do all this stuff, you know, but for the structure, but you ain't got no foundation. You go home and you don't even talk. You don't even like each other.
Come on.
You stay in the backyard until it's bedtime, and then you go get in the bed after they go to sleep because you don't even like each other. But if you took the time to talk, it can still be repaired because you just haven't taken it. It's really no problem. There's really no issue. Where is it? We just haven't talked. Okay, I don't know. I'm going to. But she says she loved him, Dennis. She says she'll love him until she unloves him.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say, who am I to tell her who she loved? But I would say that she didn't.
Okay. Let me see what Miss Martin said. She said, if you recognize the alleged generational curse, then you're in a position to do something about it. That's what we just
Come
said.
on.
Recognizing and blaming generational curse and doing nothing about it is crazy work. Insanity doing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Let's go, Miss Martin. That was tough.
Yeah. And that's really practical. That's really, really practical. That's good. That's good. That's good. This has been a good conversation so far, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. This is what I imagine open mic night being, y'all.
Big
jumping in. If anybody, holla at me.
When we have these conversations, I always like to listen to a woman's perspective because I believe, and it could just be the way my life went. My relationships go however I want them to go. I have never lost a relationship based on what the woman did. When I was over it, that relation was done. And I have never broken up with anybody. They all left me because my behavior changed. So they would feel like they broke up with me, but I was done months ago. A relationship ain't tough for men. It's tough for women because we control whether it's going to be successful or not. Yeah. Do y'all disagree?
I can agree a little bit with that.
She said a little bit. What part don't you agree with? I like controversy. What part don't you agree with?
That's when you say value. I mean, if you don't want a person, just tell that lady that you don't want them. You just don't sit there and just sit and let her feel bad and herself and be like, just leave it alone. Just sit there and tell her.
But if she's an in tune woman with herself, she shouldn't allow the man to make the decision. She should be a woman enough to say, hey, listen, I'm not feeling the vibes, the energy that we were feeling in the beginning. And listen, I'm not going to waste your time nor my time. Let's depart here. We still cool, but it's gone. And before we get deep off into this relationship staying, and we know it ain't going nowhere, I'm just going to bow out gracefully. We still cool. So
So what is deep in a relationship look like though?
Deep is
overdoing your part.
True.
Overdoing or doing? Because you said, hold on, no, stop. Stop. I am exegetical in conversation. What do you mean overdoing your part?
Not overdoing your part.
That determines strain.
Overplaying our part, because us women, we can overplay our part.
Doing too much.
And wait a minute, but what that means we hurt our own feelings. We hurt our own feelings when we overplay our part.
So you going in with insurance, I feel you. But if you are deep in love and he's deep in love, how is it overdoing your part?
See, that's not I'm pinning.
Hold on, let me unpack it. Let me unpack it.
I'm pinning down on what he's saying. When he's saying value, when he just give up and he don't stop. So that
but we moved on to my question. My question was, what does it mean to be deep in love? Your answer was when I overdo my part. So if I'm deep in love, that means I'm overdoing it. I'm in trouble. This love is bound to fail.
That's not. That's not.
You just said it. I heard. I can rewind the tape. I play tomorrow.
Land is plane. Got him right where you want him. Land is plane.
We can overplay our part because we need to. Sometimes, like you said in the beginning, people can love so hard. And some people don't know how to have that same love as so we can overplay our part. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you. I like messing with you. I'm gonna do this. I promise.
I know.
Hey, listen. This is what Avery Thompson said. Deep is when you know your attachment is gone and the other person is still willing to move forward, and you have the ability to recognize it.
That's right, cousin. That's right.
And the thing is, but when we talk about falling deep in love, right? Because you said something earlier, Jenny. You said we grow together. right? Because growth always happens, right? You can grow in different directions. You can grow apart. You know, you can, and you can, growing can turn into growing pains. It's always, but if you manage the growth properly, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna use another word, Shauna. I'm just, if you don't mind, and everybody does their part, not overdo it, but just do your part, right? And then you do enough now. And then once you do that and they show appreciation, then I might do a little bit more. Like I ain't, if we're dating, I'm not paying rent in the beginning. I don't care who you are. You
Right.
ain't that
It's just a
fine.
shared interest between the
You ain't
both.
that fine. Now, I might pay for dinner. You know what I'm saying? I'll pick you up. We can go to the movies, but we're not in that space, right? But if we are couple of years in, and and you have a bad month, or if I'm spending time over there, for instance, if I'm staying at a woman's house, Dennis, multiple times a week, and I got a key, then I probably need to be paying some type of bill over there. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, then I'm deeper. You know what I'm saying? And so when I think about being deep, that's what I'm thinking about when you talk about doing. When you're talking about doing your part, especially as a man. Then I know. I'm sorry, Lazare, don't cuss me out. I ain't paying nobody's rent. I know Lazare. I'm not paying nobody's rent but my own. I'm struggling to pay this one. Lazare will come and say, bro, it's 50-50. They ain't paying. No, we stay in the same house. She pay her half. I pay my half. And that's it. And we're going to roll with it like that.
I just think, I think we ignore both parties, ignore the red flags. They be right there in the beginning. And then we choose, like we all have choices. And we ignore the red flags. Like you already know 6 months into the relationship what it's gonna be. If you are a grown adult, you already know what type of relationship. If early on in the relationship, if it's communication issues, deal with that then. Listen, when I text you, when I call, I need you to respond, within a kind of reasonable time. I mean, because if you don't check the things that you don't like and you let them slide, then that's your fault.
Yeah.
That's on both parties, man. So,
Mitch, you said you write books too, right?
Huh?
You said you wrote a book too, right?
Yeah, I wrote it. I'm actually working on my third book right now.
What's your name again?
The third book is Recognizing Narcissistic Behavior, Manipulation, and Witchcraft. And
he said, what's your name?
Jennifer Coleman-Lawyer.
I like
Jenny Love. They call me Jenny Love.
What was the name of the first book?
Pushing Beyond the Pain.
Pushing Beyond the Pain. What was the name of the second book?
100 Days of Why I Love Me.
See, I gave her free advertisement, y'all, right here in front of everybody. So yeah, I gave her free advertisement. Last lady came on, she started trying to plug her little podcast on my show. I cussed her out. I ain't gonna lie, Jenny. I cussed her. I mean, it was a soft cussing, though. It wasn't a bad cussing. But
as you should.
As my grandmama say, it wasn't no. My ex grandma, she said it wasn't no hard cuss words, just a little cuss. I can't believe you're gonna bring your bleep 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 on my show and try to take a free. But anyway,
big bro,
that was yes, sir.
Would you agree that relationships, women are usually behind the 8 ball because as we're having the conversation of what this relationship is going to be, she comes to the table timid in what she needs from the relationship. She just wants that man as who he's showing himself to be today. So when she says what she needs from the relationship, she's usually half-stepping because she doesn't want to ask for something that he might say no to. So her ability to not be honest with herself in the moment has her behind from the start. And that's why the man usually has the power in the relationship because he cares less.
Do you think, but I can see that. Do you think it's absolute?
No, absolutely. There's nothing that's absolute.
Majority?
The majority.
Would you ladies agree with that?
I would agree because the society that we live in now,
ladies
women
answer too. I want to hear your answers in the chat as well. Go ahead and finish, Jenny. I'm sorry.
I agree with him because the society that we live in now, the world that we live in now, it's been shaped that women come to the table saying, "What can you do for me?" Mm-hmm. And again, what do you have to bring to the table? You should be coming to the table and say, there is something about your persona that man should already know that I'm going to meet you halfway. I'm going to meet you halfway. There is something, that's the issue. That's the issue. And I have to speak from a woman's place. This is how I raised my daughter. What do you have to bring to the table with them? Because what you are, that's what you're going to attract. If you're a ball man person, you're going to attract the boss nigga. Like real talk. There is something about your persona you're going to attract.
That's true.
What energy you put out, how you come out. I mean, this is heavy.
That's true.
And the thing is, but you know what? And see, I'm in my 50s now. You know what I'm saying? And like I did a dub. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna lie, after that dub was over with, I'm trying to use my little white, my little young word. I did a 20, I did a dub. And I enjoy, man, I ain't gonna lie, I would prefer to be doing 30, 40. You know what I'm saying? If I had it my way, you know what I'm saying? But now in that space afterwards, I thought I was gonna be like, man, I'm gonna go out here and be a player, do what I want to do, kick it, you know what I'm saying? I could be with who I want to be with. But I wasn't even attracted to those type. You understand what I'm saying? If I saw a woman most of the time, it was like wife type women. And I didn't treat them like I would have treated just any type of person. So a lot of times I would rather just be alone than put the effort into something that would materialize into, because I don't know how to, Dennis, I don't know how to be nothing but a husband. I was a husband a long time. I don't know how to be a boyfriend, and I don't know how to, I'm learning how to date. All those things are like foreign to me because because it took me 20 years to learn how to be a husband. I sucked at it for probably 15, 14, 15. I learned how to be it. So it's rough on me.
You got better at doing, or you were better in the beginning?
No, we should all get better as we go.
Yeah.
You should be something better at 20 years than you are. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, I didn't do what was necessary to manage the growth. So what I was ready for, she had moved on past that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I waited too long. And so I haven't changed. You feel what I'm saying? So if I try to crack on a woman, is that the right term? Can I use that?
I feel like when you
hold on, let me finish my point. Hold on, you gonna get it. Say, hold on. If I shoot my shot, I probably already saw you as a wife. You know what I'm saying? So I don't shoot my shot at just randoms. And if I did shoot my shot and didn't shoot it again, I was just talking. But go ahead. Now, what were you going to say, Shauna? I'm sorry.
I feel like you shouldn't go into a relationship to expect anything.
Okay.
I feel like you should have your own. I was always taught like that and raised like that. Make sure you have your own just in case. Just in case he don't do or he have to stop doing it or something happen. You make sure you have your own. So you don't never go into a relationship expecting anything from that man. That's how I was raised. And I think being a strong woman and that know what she want and know I don't depend on no man. You don't supposed to depend on no man. I feel like it. I feel like that you shouldn't depend on no man because you always have to have your own just in case.
Are you talking about material things?
I'm talking about it could be material things. No, I'm going back. I'm piggybacking back on what he said. Like he's not going to pay any rent. I think women shouldn't expect a man to always paying rent or doing things of that nature. That's what I'm saying.
We're in a different world right now, boy. They leading with send me a cash out. You ain't even met the first time. Yeah, so we're in a whole different society.
I don't understand that.
Miss Martin said he has the power in the relationship because she gives it to him, including her autonomy a lot of times. I can see that as well. Listen, I want to make a transition right now. So I'm gonna take all y'all down for a second. Don't go nowhere because I'm probably gonna bring you back. Okay. But I want to make a quick transition because I got to get Cora. You got to come tell me your name. But let me. I know it because she's a friend of mine, honestly, for real. But give me 1 second. I'm gonna take y'all down. Don't go nowhere because I might bring you back. for real. Just but stay in the chat if you would. I appreciate you. And we're gonna make a quick transition. Okay, give me a second. Removing you, removing you. All right, this is good so far, y'all. This was rich. I appreciate everyone who've opened up and shared so far. And this stew is about, because it's all about honest dialogue. That's what it's all about, honest dialogue. So we're going to make this shift. And I'm glad Miss Martin is on, because she is the one who prompted me, or who inspired me to make this next, go into this next segment. We're going to probably do about another 30, maybe 40 minutes, and then we'll say good night. But y'all know my mantra. My tagline is on the path to better. That's what I got t-shirts. That's what got me through some rough times in my life, because when I talked about on the path to better, I wore it on t-shirts, I wore it on clothes, I did it any kind of way, just to remind myself that not to stay where I was, not knowing that I would be eventually helping others get on the path to better. So today, when I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw Miss Ree, I'm just gonna call her Ree to make it easy so I won't be messing her name up. When I saw Ree's post, I said, wow, that's good. Let you all see what the post was. This is what the post said. It says, you're not celebrating yourself because you're so caught up in the future version of you that you're forgetting to honor how far you've already come. Learn how to celebrate success. When I heard that, I was like, wow, that's what people need to hear, because how often do you pause and just clap for yourself, right? Because we spend so many times chasing this future version of myself. Even when I talk about a better me, I understand I'm on the path to better, right? And so every day I become a little bit more me. I'm more me today than I was yesterday. And that deserves to be celebrated. So when I saw her post, I said, you know what? I'm going to ask her. When I text her right before the show, and then she said, I'm going to try to jump on. So let me bring her in right quick and let her see what her mind was. What up, Ree? How you doing, man?
Hey,
How you doing?
hello. I'm well. How are you doing?
I am doing well, and I appreciate you for gracing us with your presence tonight.
Of course, I've been really enjoying the conversation and the different perspectives.
That's all I'm trying to do, is just do these open mic nights. And y'all know, and Dennis, I'm thinking I'm going to turn Monday night into an open mic night until further notice. I'll start teaching the Bible on Tuesday nights. We'll do another night on for these biblical things that I do. So I won't use Mondays for those. We're going to start building this open mic night and give people the space to talk about dialogue. We ain't always got to be talking about 50-50. We ain't always got to be talking about the negative things in relationships. We can talk about things that help us in our daily lives, right? Help us see life, help us get through this thing called life. And really just handle it better. And so when I saw your post, I wanted to hear your heart and I wanted to hear your mind. So I'm glad you jumped in. Tell us what you were thinking when you wrote that.
Well, I mean, of course, it's personal. Most of the things that I post about are personal in nature. It's just come out of my life experiences. So while I'm here, I might as well give a little plug as well. I'm the owner of Real Life Solutions, and we are HR consulting firm. So if you need any HR work, go ahead and let me know. But one of the reasons why I call it Real Life Solutions is because it's my life, it's my testimony, it's my experiences, it's my skills, it's all of those things that form, the opinions and things that I have. And so when I wrote that, I wrote it kind of out of my own testimony, out of my own space, in that, a lot of the times, I'm working so hard, and I don't stop to celebrate. And I've had numerous coaches to tell me the same thing. And I'm just like, no, I'm kind of on to the next thing. But in this season of my life, I've been able to see the significance in that. Earlier this year, back in January, I, along with a lot of other federal workers, lost all of my government contracts. And, when you're right in the middle of things like that, well, I say lost, so I like to correct myself and say realign, that God was realigning me, but I didn't, take a step back, to see that, the success in me being in the situation that I was in, and so oftentimes when life starts happening, we don't do that. And we're on to the next thing. And so there was a gentleman, he reached out to me when he saw my post on social media, and he said, "Hey, I have a word for you, woman of God." And he basically, was sharing with me that, that I have done so much work, and I have been working so hard in government, in my business, behind the scenes, doing all these different things for everybody else, and that God allowed this to happen in my life because it's the reset, because it's the time for me to enter into God's
Mm.
rest. And he
Wow.
told me this is your season of rest. And Hebrews 4 just so happens to be like my life scripture. Like when I say it's my life scripture, like when I first came into being saved for real, Hebrews 4 was always my go-to because it dealt with, the mind. It dealt with your faith and your belief system. And a lot of the thing that I believe that he was trying to share with me is in that, we profess that we're in faith and that we're believing God for a thing, and we don't realize how much we're kind of not until we're in a situation to where we realize that. And so after he gave me that word, I was working on a proposal because, of course, I'm in this hustle mode. I'm in this grind mode. Underneath all of that is all this fear and this worry about what am I going to do and how's this going to work and how I'm going to take care of my daughter and all this stuff, unbeknownst to me at the time. But I'm working on this proposal and I am up all times of the night, writing it. And we didn't get to turn the proposal in at the deadline because I was so focused on it being perfect. I was so focused on, you know, um, all of the elements coming together and doing and being. And I just, when it got down to the end and we finally got it, got it submitted, we were beyond the deadline and our proposal didn't get accepted. And so immediately I was like, oh wow, I've had to take a loss here. And but I took a L was the terminology that I was using is I took a L, but God was letting me know you took a L, but it wasn't a loss. It was a learning experience. And it took me back to the word that the man of God gave me back in January, that this is my season of rest. And when I'm resting in God, when we're resting in God, when we're resting and we have all our faith in on a thing, we're not worrying. We're not doing any of those things. There was plenty of opportunities for me to stop and backtrack and realize that I could have just turned that proposal in the way that it was. But no, I have been, indoctrinated to a certain degree as a Black woman, especially, in the spaces that I've been in, is that um we have to work 3 and 4 times as hard. And so that's been my thing. I got to get myself back on track. I got to get myself back on track. And when I thought that had taken this loss and spirit was letting me know, no, it wasn't a loss. This is something for you to learn from. That's when I realized that I was not resting, that I was not all faith in, that I was still, worrying and those types of things. And in conjunction with that, God started to remind me that yeah, your house was up and you could have been facing foreclosure. You've been dealing with that for so long. You are getting realigned and you don't have your government contracts. You're doing all these things, but then I was reminded that I'm not homeless. That that it might look this way, it may appear to be this way, and I'm like, I need to start to celebrate my progress. I need to be able to give God the glory in my progress and everything that he's doing in my life from the start to the finish. It's like, did you think that he blessed you with these contracts? Did you think that he blessed you with this house? Do you think that he blessed you to be where you are, to leave you right here? Do you think that when these things were happening and he was aligning you back then and blessed you with this house and, to drive a nice car and all of these things, that now he's just going to pull back? And oh, maybe he was even lying. Like, no. At the same time, that's when I realized, when I look back, over these weeks and these months, and I wasn't, being so hard on myself about, oh, you kind of foreseen, the fact that these government contracts is probably going to end and you didn't get on it and you didn't do this and you didn't do that. And it's just, you know what? Sometimes we have to take a step back and we have to be aware of ourselves, of our thinking, and the very things that God is doing in our lives. Because when we're so caught up on the mundane things, when we're so caught up on all of the things that is happening, in the world and what we can see in these bills and all this stuff. We oftentimes say, we don't take the money with us. We don't take this stuff with us. And so, and it doesn't mean anything, but we give it so much meaning that we're driving nice cars and that we're doing all of these things that we forget about God in it. And then we forget to celebrate and to continue to celebrate how far God has actually has brought us. Because when I look back over my life, my God, huh, when I look back over my life, I can't do nothing but give him glory. When I tell you that there are so many times in my life, where I have people to come up to me and they say to me, or they inbox me on Facebook, and they're telling me how they're inspired by me, or how I did this, or how I did that, or how I've been a light, or, this is that and the other. No, I have to stop and celebrate and recognize my worth,
Mm,
the value that God put in me by his spirit.
value.
When he say greater is he that is on the inside of me than what's anything that I could be up against in this world, it started to make me see trusting him and being able to enter into his rest a lot differently. And we all know, you know what I'm saying, that everything that has breath should give praise. And
Yeah.
that's what the celebration is all about. Oftentimes we don't give
Ugh.
ourselves enough praise. We don't give ourselves enough praise. We don't give ourselves enough recognition. We forget about the God power that he put on the inside of us. We forget about the authority that he has given us. We forget about that we can speak things into existence and it would be not as though. We forget about that we could lay hands on the sick and they will recover. We forget that we could speak to our situations, that we could think things and God will allow our thoughts and command the universe to do exactly what he is telling what we tell it to do. We forget about our God power that it talks about in Genesis. And so
Yeah.
that was my heart. That's my heart. That's my testimony. Is that
Yeah.
I'm so caught up on the world and this system. My God.
Mm.
I was so caught up on the world and this system
Jesus.
that
Talk,
I
talk,
was
talk, talk, talk.
distracted. I
Mm.
became distracted by losing what I thought was losing government contracts. I became distracted by, oh, the VA is not gonna, modify your home loan and your daughter's in Spain and she's studying abroad. I got distracted about the mundane things of this world and wanting to do the work, wanting to do and fix it and do all of these things myself, when all of us can take a lesson from this, that we don't have to incur what we feel is hardship for us to know who God is to us and the promises and the things that he has promised us. In Hebrews 4 said that our ancestors did not enter into his rest because of unbelief, because they did not have the faith. And it was a wake up call for me to remember that, yes, I made you great, honey. You the best to ever do it because I said that you would. But it's still me that you got to rely on. It's still me. And so when I think about rest and what Hebrews 4 talk about about rest, oftentimes people equate it to sleep. We talk about sleeping in the Bible. We sleep when we die. Have you heard people say that? We sleep when we're in this life, we're resting. And we should be resting in God. We rest at night and we rise when we wake up, when we get up. And one of the key things about that, I'm gonna say this last thing, and then I'm gonna let it go. Is about the resting is talks about the Sabbath in Hebrews 4, and the rest that God took, but the rest is in the mind. And that's what I don't think that a lot of people remember, that we're not resting when we're worrying. We're not resting when we're trying to figure out the next move in the next step. But can you get yourself into a place in God that when all hell is breaking through or breaking loose around you, when you find yourself walking through the valley of the shadow of death, would you fear? Or would you know that thy rod and thy staff is before you? That you can really rest, and that is taking a break from your thoughts, taking a break from the mundane things of this world, snatching back your power, and knowing that you have the power in your mind to think a thing and it will come to pass. Because when we think about things, we are putting the energy out there that is allowing us to become magnetic to attract what God wants for us. And that works on both sides, because you got to take the yin and the yang. So if you're going to take the fact that I'm believing God for this, then you know that the opposite of that thing, it exists at the same time. Or we say that the enemy will come and it will show up in our lives. Guess what? We got to take all of these things, the good and the bad, we got to still take it on the chin. We got to take it on the chin and just know that God is working through our thoughts, and that why would you waste time thinking about what you don't want? Why would
Mm.
you waste time thinking about or meditating on what you don't desire? Only think on those things that are good. Only think on those things that are not. And so when
Lovely.
these thoughts are coming up, God is teaching me how to enter into his rest, and that is to cast down those imaginations.
Yeah.
And so that was why I shared it. You know, it just came from that space. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna put this out there because I know that there are a lot of other people that's out there, and life is happening and things are going on in life. And we get
Yeah.
caught up on those things, and God has to allow certain things to happen in our lives to remember, to remind us. And me posting that is my celebration to that, because God didn't forget about me.
Yeah.
And me getting realigned with those government contracts is just him pushing me and posturing me to elevate to my.
Yeah. That's good. Well, oh, she stay there. I'm gonna bring you back in a second. But when I read, I'm gonna show the post again. Hopefully her internet comes back. But I'm gonna show the post again that she put out, because when I read it earlier today, like I said, it stopped me in my tracks. Let me I'm gonna take her out. Hopefully she comes back in if she can. But here's the post again for those that didn't see it. She said, "You're not celebrating yourself because you're so caught up in the future version of you that you're not forget that." He said, "You're not celebrating yourself because you're so caught up in the future version of you that you're forgetting to honor how far you've already come. Celebrate success." I pause in my tracks, because when I see something like that, I realize that there's more than meets the eye. I realize there are layers. I realize there is more depth to what is being said, versus just reading the words. And a lot of times it's hard to relate to other people because you don't take the time to empathize. You judge. Most of us judge a person's situation based on our own idiosyncrasies and our proclivities and all of those things. She's back. So when I saw her post, I said, yeah, there's some depth to that. And I saw it because I've been there. You know what I'm saying? I don't, and you, especially when you have a prophetic eye, you sometimes in the prophetic, you see the end, but you see the end while you're still at the beginning. You don't see anything that has to do with the process. So you fail to mark the milestones, right? So you don't celebrate the fact that you showed up. You don't celebrate the fact that you didn't give up. This version of you, if you really looked in the mirror and you said, man, and you've been living for 45, 50 years, you're like, man, I'm a survivor. Man, I probably
Yes.
made $500,000, $1 million in my lifetime. It might not all be in the bank account right now, but I've done it. And so, and this is a metaphor, so don't get me, prophetess, but I tell people my stress level went down when my middle finger started going up, because it put me in a space where I could only see me for a moment. And I needed to see me because I had seen everybody else for so long. And so because I put all in, even if it wasn't a whole lot, it was what I had. Does that make sense? It
Absolutely.
was, because if I was fractured, because I've learned, because I did a little therapy here recently, right? And so I'm kind of learning a little bit more about myself, right? And so I've learned that for years I was fractured, I was flawed, right? And I was probably 60 to 70% of who I should have been, right? But I gave all of that 60 to 70%. And you know what I'm saying? And sometimes, when I hear the song, I gave my all, but I guess my best just wasn't good enough, but I put it all out there. I did. And so that's why when I saw your post, and I looked at where I am now versus where I was. When I look at the fact that I was stuck on the couch, you know, and because I was stuck on the couch, you know, and when I and you know Dennis, my homeboy, you know, bro, you know, dudes, we don't really encourage each other like women do like that, right? But the other night, my homeboy said, man, the couch was good for you.
No,
He said
seriously.
because he said the couch was good for you. Go ahead. I'm
January
sorry.
was probably the best thing that happened to me. In January, I did not realize that. But today, I realized that. January was the best thing that happened to me because it opened my eyes. And I was on the couch too. I probably laid on the couch until, mid-February, and I decided let me go home, back down to Arkansas, let my mama love on me and let me be around my
Yeah,
family and
yeah,
friends, and while I was doing that and still doing the work to rebuild is when I realized these things. And if it hadn't happened to me, I wouldn't have had the moment of realization to look back over my life and see how many
yeah,
things that I should be proud of myself for. I
yeah,
should be proud of myself for being able to walk off my 6-figure year job and being able to, land government contracts for over $500,000. But
mm,
I got so caught up in that
yeah,
and all of that went along with it that I missed the opportunity to celebrate myself and celebrating what that's even in me celebrating myself is me recognizing this, me celebrating and praising and giving God the glory
yeah.
for what he has done and have been doing in my life.
And that's that. And so, you know, with all the negative stuff, because so, you know, algorithm is something else. You know, you got a whole bunch of negative stuff, you know, and we jump on all the negative stuff, right? You know, but there are still some positive messages out there. These kind of conversations do exist, right? Why aren't there 60, 70, 100 people listening and being encouraged in this conversation? Because somebody needs to know that when they found themselves in between a rock and a hard place, they can still look and say, at least I made it to the rock. You know what I'm
Amen.
saying? And once I adjust to this, because, you know, Ree, if I'm going to go in the valley, you know, my daddy taught me something. He said, if you plant a garden, you can plant in rows. You know, you can plant a row of tomatoes, you can plant sweet potatoes, you can all these things in the same garden. I'm doing the same work, right? But if I'm going to go in the valley, I might as well learn valley tactics.
Right.
If I'm going to be in the valley, I'm going to at least learn how to pitch a tent. You know what I'm saying? At least learn how to start a fire so that when I come on the other side of my valley, when I come out of my valley, I can say I can do that too. Because now I got this tool. I might not ever need that tool again.
Right.
But if I'm coming to a situation where I got to pitch a tent, I'm going to pitch it. If I have to
Absolutely.
start a fire, I'm going to start because it's not beneath me because I did it. You know, because I did it. And that, you know, and that was the whole thing with Abraham when he took Isaac on the top of the
Oh, come
mountain, you
on
know.
now.
On top of the mountain. God never had any intention for him to kill him. He just wanted to see if he would. And
Right.
there are certain times that God allows us to go through. He'll allow you to go through, get those $500,000 contracts, develop an appetite for that. And that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
So your normal is someone's dream.
That
And we
part.
fight so hard to maintain what's normal. You know what I'm saying? But if I got it one time, I got practice. I got experience getting it. You know what I'm saying? But
Absolutely.
and if I reapproach, and that's what God allows us to do. Let me ask a question to the audience, and you can answer it too, right quick, since you're right here with me, Ree. Here's a question: what's one thing you've accomplished, big or small, that you didn't celebrate the way you should have?
Hmm.
And I want y'all to think about that because tonight we're gonna celebrate ourselves. We're gonna get off this chat in a few minutes. And I'm gonna do my little commercial at the end. But I want to know from the people who are listening, what is one, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. This is safe space. We're talking, we're encouraging each other, we're building a family. We're on the path to better. This is for those that can stick around, this is the Stew Crew. And I've already built another space where we can start communicating in that space outside of Facebook. But this is the Stew Crew because I'm trying to build an organization. I mean, not an organization, but a community where we can encourage each other. You know, we ain't got to see each other all the time, but we can show up in this space and we can talk and we can share and we can become better. So I've given her enough time by rambling so she can answer this question. I know she wasn't worried anyway, but here you go. Though I ain't seen nobody answer the question yet. Are y'all thinking? But no, go ahead and answer while she's talking. What's one thing you've accomplished, big or small, Shauna? You can write in this too for me, sweetie. that you didn't celebrate, because you're gonna celebrate yourself tonight, that you didn't celebrate the way you should have? You go first.
In light of, what I've already shared and what we've been talking about, is it has been a history, you know, of me doing this over my life. And it's just, it's so I do it in every instance. Like I got my bachelor's degree. I didn't walk across the stage. I got my master's degree. I didn't walk across the stage. Just give
Wow.
me my piece of paper if because I've been conditioned, and all the time I'm just trying to get to the next level. I'm just trying to, and I never took out that time. And so January was just years and years and years of this. It's not just one thing.
Wow.
It's been a compilation of things that I never stopped to celebrate myself. I never gave myself credit. It literally has taken even my daughter, she's 19, and she's
Yes,
like,
Lord Jesus.
Mom, live your life. Like you have done exceedingly abundantly above anything I could have asked for out of you as a mom, and you still go hard. And so when the man of God called me and said, it's your season of rest, I didn't even realize, you know, I didn't even realize the impact, because I've been on this and going in this way since I was 19 or 20 years old. When
Wow.
I went into the military and I got out, that's just been my whole thing. Like, I have to be the best at everything I do. And so I just never really celebrated anything. I'm always, and then the second part that I wanted to say about that, James, is because I always was so busy celebrating everybody else and doing for
Yes.
everybody else and making sure everybody else was good, that in this season of my life, entrepreneurship has aligned me with my destiny and my purpose. And when I, decided to be serious about my destiny and about my purpose, is and it caused me to have to go inward. And I know that that's the reason why God needed me to have that breakthrough back in January, but it caused me, to go inward. And I've had to learn a lot of different things, along the way, and celebrating myself is one of them, in entrepreneurship. And so it's taken a lot of these,
Mm.
these old ways of thinkings and this type
Oh,
of stuff.
Jesus.
Like God is saying, you can't bring that into where you're going. And so I think that was just a part of my breakthrough. So I don't just have, tonight as I celebrate, it's just not the one thing,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
celebration of my life and who I am, and it's a celebration of your life and who you are and who
Yeah.
God called you to be. And
Yeah.
why wouldn't you want to celebrate your accomplishments? Because
Yes.
it was God that allowed you to be able to accomplish these things, and we're definitely giving him glory. So,
And
that was a little bit off from your question, but
no,
whether
no,
I
no,
was
it was
led to
perfect.
answer it. Um,
No, no, there's no coincidence. There's only providence. Anything you say, that was God's led. Because what you don't know is, last week we talked about breakthroughs. Dennis, you remember last week we talked about breakthroughs. We talked about, and what I said was, because it was just a random conversation, and I said a breakthrough involves breaking through.
mhm,
And that means with resistance and resilience and all that kind of thing, right? So when I asked you for one thing, you said you had a breakthrough in January. When you have a breakthrough, then things flow easier.
mhm.
Does that make sense? Now you see what was unseen. So many people are struggling just to see the one thing. So that's why I'm asking the audience for the one thing, because I was where you are. People, I remember the first show I had. My son called me to say, Dad, congratulations on your first show. I said, yeah, man, you did a good job in baseball the other night. I'm proud of you. You and your sister made all A's. I didn't sit there and sit with the compliment for 30 seconds.
That's
And
me.
so for so many times, people would give me compliments. Even if a friend I'm kind of talking to now, she said, if somebody tells you how well you did, just say thank you.
Mhm.
Don't give any false humility. Don't say, just pray for me. Just say thank you, and learn how to sit with a compliment. I talk about how when I was my revelation, my epiphany moment, my aha moment for getting off the couch was one day I was in my bathroom, and when I walked by the mirror, I so happened to look to the left and I saw myself. Because for so many years I didn't look in the mirror. I
Yeah.
know how to tie my tie riding down the street. I don't need to look in the mirror to do that. I know where my teeth are, so I don't have to look in the mirror to brush them. I know where my the corners of my eyes are to wipe the matter out. So I don't, so I can do that while I'm multitasking. So for years, I didn't look in the mirror. So when I didn't look in the mirror, I didn't see what people saw. And so even though they told me they saw flaws, some of them I would debate it and be offended because I didn't see what they saw. But when I finally took the time to look in the mirror and say, ugh. But the good thing about it was I wasn't afraid. I wasn't fearful because everything was fixable. You feel what I'm saying? But being able to fix it just required putting in the work. And I was willing to put in the work. And after I put in the work is when the breakthrough comes. You feel what I'm saying? And so I feel you when you say I don't have just one thing to talk about. I got a bunch of them now because you've had January, February, March, April to go into this revelation period. And like you said, to end to rest. When my mom passed away, God rest her soul, she called me when she went into the hospital, Dennis. She went right before she went to the hospital to have surgery. And she said something, Shauna, that sat with me, and I talked about it when I preached. I preached her eulogy. She said, James, I hope they keep me a couple of extra days because I need to rest. And I said, Mama, no, you don't need, whatever. But little did Mama know the rest she was talking about was when she woke up, or when she would wake up in another location because her soul would have been moved. And I told an analogy that night that when I preached, I said, I believe when Death Angel showed up in my mother's hospital room, she had a real confused look on her face. Cause like, no, what do you, I just wanted some rest. But at a certain point, God said it's time to go to sleep. And so she entered into eternal rest. That's a whole but when you get into a space where everything else around you, you're dead to it because it doesn't affect you anymore. When it's pray for you, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead, come on. I see you about to say something. Go ahead. Come on in. Come on in.
I think it speaks back to what you were saying about Abraham and Isaac.
Yeah.
And I equate that as a part of my revelation to having the balance. We when we go through, this one thing, are you and then you go through this other thing, we gather attachments to it. And it's
Yeah.
like God is saying, you don't need to be too attached to nothing in this earthly realm.
Nothing.
And in that particular example, it was, his own kid.
Own
And
son.
so I think that a lot of the times when we get the breakthrough, or what I equate the breakthrough to the revelation, is that we don't realize that the thing that God is teaching us in that particular time, the opposite of that, is that we could do either one, but he wants us to have a balance with it. And once you get that balance, I think that that's when you are resting. It's
Yeah.
because you're not worrying, you're not, afraid, you're not holding on to anything too much. You're not trying to make it happen yourself. You're not trying to, conjure the rules or whatever the case may be. You really are just resting knowing that, God is just doing it. And so even for me now, like I've just in my business and everything, I just been resting, just meditating.
Mm.
I meditate so, I mean, for days straight. I'm just meditating. I'm in a
Wow.
meditative type of state because as an entrepreneur, I have that type of time to do that. And this is what God is teaching me, even as an entrepreneur, is the work when you feel inspired. Because after I have rested, come on here, this the real good word coming right here, James. Because after I done took them days of rest, and I have freed myself of all of those in between things, and it's just me and God. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
meditating,
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
praying, I'm in that space of rest. Guess what happens? The downloads start to come, revelations start to come. When I say I work now, when I feel inspired, because I've done all the work while I was resting. When I was late, I could have been laboring in my mind, trying to think about all this stuff to figure it out. But God said, when you enter into my rest and you're meditating on my word and you're meditating and you're praying and you keeping yourself in that space, then he starts to speak to you. Then he starts to download what you need to do, and things that I have not been able to do in 1 year's time, in 5 months' time, in however much time, I have done them in days. I've done them in weeks. because I literally get them downloads and that revelation from God
Yes,
in that
Lord.
space while I'm resting. And then
Mm.
I get up and execute those things because why? Now I'm perfectly aligned. I am perfectly magnetic in every single thing that God is doing for me and getting to me. I'm attracting
Mm.
it. It's coming to me. Even you reaching out to me today is a part of this journey because I hate being on the camera. I
I sure
hate
been trying
talking
to
in
get you
public
forever.
spaces. And it's a part of my destiny.
Yeah.
It's a part of my destiny. So when you said, "Can you be here?" I said, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay." Oh, you want me to get on the camera? I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
let me
yeah,
try to
yeah,
make
yeah.
myself look like something." But
Thank you very
no,
much.
but it comes down to having that balance, because having that balance allows you to stop doing the work. It gives you that opportunity to, when the work is all of that stressing and stuff that we do in our mind, that ain't the work that God wants us on. He wants
Yeah.
us to be praying and meditating on his word and allowing him to give us our answers and our solutions.
That's good stuff, y'all. Listen, y'all. I know y'all not talking like because this is a
It's
listening
late.
time. Yeah, it's late too. It's late. It's late too, and I appreciate you. I'm about to get off here, but this is real. This is what I want open mic night to be. This is what I want it to be. I want to come and talk. Something. You see a post. You have a situation. Jot it down, inbox it to me, and just come in and talk about how it blessed you. I mean, this right here, I mean, Ree's testimony, man, that's good stuff. That's a book right there. You know what I mean? And you didn't even have to spend 2 or 3 days reading it. I mean, this is practical. This is something that just happened. This is a fresh download that was given unto her that she unlocked. There are keys to the kingdom, right? I'm talking to a whole nother level now. There are keys to this kingdom, and when you start to get these keys, you start to unlock new dimensions and unlock new doors. And when you go, and Jacob said it like this: every round is a little bit higher than the last round. So when you start going into these new spaces, God, and it's after God has given you this download, this epiphany, this aha moment where He says, "All right, now let's go to the next level," and it requires a certain level of rest to go to the next level, right? Because the next level is going to offer a whole different type of challenge that if you were not prepared. See, that's why so many people are distracted. But
That's it.
jobs keep you
Yes.
distracted. Lord, jobs keep you distracted. I hate to say
Hmm.
that, but jobs really, 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 because they try their best to dominate so much. But when you're
Okay.
able to sit back and rest and think, one thing that what's taking me to the next level in my thought process when somebody asks me a question, taking a deep breath
Hmm.
instead of just having that snap back, comeback moment. Because I can do that real good, and I do it. Sometimes it's almost a weapon, but I don't, but who does it benefit? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't benefit anyone, right? So now I've learned to be a little bit more uh cautious about my responses because somebody, let me tell you, I'm gonna say this, then we're gonna get off for real. Somebody said something to me yesterday. I ain't gonna lie, Ree. Can I be honest to you? Because I know you therapist. Can I be honest with you?
Please.
Dennis, I'm gonna tell you something. Don't you ever do what I did yesterday. I almost cussed somebody out of church yesterday
Uh-oh.
at the altar.
Not at the altar.
I almost cussed him out. I called my dad, and my dad said you should have got him, but I cussed him. I ain't gonna lie, I cussed him out almost. But I ain't use cuss words though. I just
Yeah.
because I can cuss without using cuss words. I
Correct.
did I dropped the N bomb in there, but so I'm gonna just tell you what was happening. I'm talking to this one guy, and we chatted it up. We talking about something. I'm gonna tell you, Dennis. Here it is. So we having this conversation. What we were talking about, we're positioning life, and some kind of what we're talking about right now. And so I told him, I said, well, I'm doing this job now. And, one of the things I used to always hate was talking on the telephone, but now I have to make 50, 60 phone calls a day. I said, if I had been doing that for myself, when I was working for myself in my insurance business, I would be making, probably triple the money that I'm making right now. You know what I'm saying? But I made the mistake, da, da, da. And so this dude, all he heard was insurance. So he said, insurance? You about to come back in insurance? I said, yes, sir. He said, here, call me. I said, okay, what? Give me a card. He said, I ain't got but one. Take a picture of that. Take a picture of that. Okay. So I took a picture of the card. Give me your number. I said, give me a card. I'll text. And so he's being real aggressive, right? And so then finally, me and this deacon, we were talking, and while we were talking, then the guy said, "I heard you preach a few times. You know, you're a real good preacher." I said, "Thank you." You know, we kept talking, but he interrupted me several times. He's gotten aggressive, you know. But all these are strikes that I'm letting slide. You know what I'm saying? Plus, you old, so I'm gonna let you slide. But then the deacon said something like, "Kirk has come a long way. I used to remember when he was arrogant." Now, when he said he was arrogant, that triggered something in me because that was a misattribution. Because when you don't talk, what people don't understand, they are afraid of. So they try to kick it, kill it, cage it, or categorize it because they don't really conceptualize it, right? So they put this label on me for years that people used to tell me I struggled with confidence. But here these people are telling me that they thought I was arrogant, and thinking that I was arrogant probably made me miss some opportunities over the years.
Right.
So in that moment, it kind of triggered me, right? And so I said, "Now, Deke, let me explain something to you because you don't realize how hurt I was, especially after the divorce. And I was quiet a lot. You didn't see me talking." I said, "You know why I was so quiet? Because I was trying to hide in plain sight. Because I didn't want you to get to know, I didn't want you to know that version of me. I really wanted to be at home, but I knew I had to socialize a little bit. So that was wrong." Deke said, "Oh, I can see that. But this dude said, you don't like to listen, do you?"
Oh.
I said, "What?" He said, I said, "Nigga, I don't know you." Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm my bad. I said, "I don't know you." I said, "In fact," I said, "I ain't asked you for no advice." You don't like constructive criticism." I said, "You call it constructive criticism. I call it unsolicited advice. I don't know you. And I got a daddy." I said, "I wasn't talking to you. Get out of my business." I mean, real quick. He looked me like, because they think preacher mean meekness, but they don't think that meekness and weakness ain't the same thing. You better watch who you talking to. But anyway, I had to cut somebody at the altar yesterday. I'm sorry, Lord. I apologize. I praise to God about
Well,
it.
we extend you some grace.
Thank you. I need some grace on that. I cuss. Shauna almost cussed him out. Emmanuel says, "So what?" He's like, "Get me." But
No
yeah,
big deal.
man, I'm like, and I called my dad. I said, "Dad, this Negro act like I ain't got no daddy." Talking about dad, talking to me. You don't like to listen. You don't know me. You have not earned a position in my life to even make an assessment of such.
Right.
Who are you? And so anyway, that was enough. All right, I'm going. Ree, I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. That she's the author of that post, and what she's telling us, and what we've learned from her testimony tonight. And I'm going to definitely clip it. But her testimony is that celebrate yourself where you are. If we believe that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and I do, I honestly believe I'm taking a walk. And when I really align myself with His will, I end up right where I need to be. Sometimes I have to go through a wilderness a little bit longer than I should have. Like 8-day journeys turn into 40 years. I get it. I understand. But at the end of the day, I end up where I'm supposed to be because providence is what providence is. We're going to end up in that that perceived end, that place of rich fulfillment, that wealthy place, when we submit to His will and be willing to die or to what? Say goodbye to yesterday in order to move on to the future, because He has something totally different for you if you are willing to accept it. And I appreciate you. So I'm gonna let Ree go. I'm gonna do my little closing, and we're gonna be good. Ree, I appreciate you. Gonna come back and see me again?
Of course, anytime.
All right, then we're gonna do something good. So, all right, thank you, sweetie. You have a good night, okay?
You too.
All right, bye-bye. All right. That was good. Let me see what Dennis said. That was really good, y'all. Dennis, you said it was gonna be good tonight. Arrogant. Who's winning the game? Oh yeah. Ooh, it's a good one. I ain't even paid attention. Oklahoma City up by 2 with 6.1 seconds. All right. Dennis said arrogant is what someone calls a person when their confidence makes them feel inadequate. I can say let the church say amen on that note right there. All right. So this is why I love open mic night, because these conversations remind us that we're all living, we're all learning, we're loving, and sometimes we're unloving. Sometimes. And we learn, and we learn through listening to other people's perspective. If this stew fed you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Make sure you follow this platform. Let people know that we're going to be on every Monday night talking about this. Now, what I want to introduce right quick, and I'm going to do it fast. I am getting ready to do a blog competition. You've seen the shirt that I introduced the last couple of weeks. The phrase, it's not the shirt that's important, it's the phrase that's on the shirt that's important. The phrase says, the world is changing. Why do you remain the same? So, Dennis, what I'm going to do is a blog competition. A blog competition. Let me show you the flyer. I hope it's big enough for y'all to see it. But here the flyer is. The flyer says, blog competition. Share what the phrase means to you for a chance to win $250. The world is changing. Why do you remain the same? Now, you can do it in one of two ways. Be as creative as you feel like you need to be. But you can do it in a one-page written blog, or you can do it in a video blog. 90 seconds, no more than 90 seconds, okay? I'm not judging them, so don't try to butter me up. I'm not judging them because I don't want to put that pressure on myself. I'm not judging them. I'll have somebody else judge them. But first prize is $250. Second prize can be a $100 gift card. And third, fourth, and fifth places will get T-shirts. If you've not seen the T-shirt, this is the T-shirt with the design on it. The world is changing. Why do you remain the same? If you'd like to purchase that, reach out to me and I will make that available to you. But for those that want to be a part of the blog competition, this is it. First place, $250. Second place, $100 gift card. Third place, third, fourth, and fifth place are going to receive a T-shirt. You have until July the 1st to submit that blog. You can submit it on our website. I will put the website in the chat right now. And then, of course, you can go to my page and get the website. But you can submit the website. You can upload the file right there at the on the website on the World is Changing page. You can you can upset. Oh, here it is. You can upgrade. You can upload it there, and I'll get it to the judges, and the judges will check everything out, and we'll have a winner. Winner wins $250. Be as creative as you want to be. There are no rules to this. Be as creative as you want. But just share how the words mean, that phrase, the world is changing. Why do you remain the same? What that means to you. I have some 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds that are to mean something totally different to than somebody who's 50, 40 or 50 years old. So make it relative, and we will pick a winner. And on July the 14th, on that show, we will announce the winner. And you have to be live to listen. I won't be on 2 hours at night, I promise you. All right. But so let's share this, share this, share this, share this. And this is unlimited. You don't have to pay to register or any of those types of things, but you can register and the winner will win $250. That's the number that I've been led to go with. Now, if we get a lot of participation, I might raise it. We'll see. But that's where we are. Okay. So it's been fun tonight. The ingredients are all in the pot. It's all simmered. The stew has been served. So now we can say good night, and we'll see you again on open mic night next Monday night. We'll see you now tomorrow night. Since I'm gonna start doing Monday night stewing over script. I'm gonna take Monday night, and man, we're gonna start doing open mic night every Monday night. And then, so I'm gonna take stewing over scripture to Tuesday night. So those that want to hear a word, y'all gonna have to tune in on Tuesday night. Now, I'm not promising that I'm gonna do that tomorrow, okay? Because I just came up with that idea tonight. All right. So I love y'all. I really do. I appreciate you all. And as I always say in closing, the world is changing. My question for you is, why do you remain the same? Y'all have a good night, and I'll see you next time.
Intellectual stew. Intellectual stew with James Kirkland.
Powerful and provocative. Prophetic and practical.
Have you ever found yourself?
Are you dating for that person?
Informative and
I feel
inspirational.
every bit of it. Like, I'm not trying to waste my
How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? Come on, let's talk about it with me, the mind massager.